I'm Eric Paul Schaefer, the moderator for this session of the Hawaii Book and Music Festival called Outward and Inward for Hawaii Poets. Our first poet is Margot Berdochewski. She lives and writes in Paris. Her books include Before the Drought from Glass Lyre Press, which was a National Poetry Series finalist, Between Soul and Stone, and But a Passage in Wilderness, both from Sheep Meadow Press, and Beautiful Soon Enough from the fiction collective Truth. Her hybrid volume, Meals Said the Night, and her newest collection, It Is Still Beautiful to Hear the Heartbeat, Wait at the Gate. Her website is, of course, margotberdochewski.com. And this is Margot. Welcome.
Thank you. Bonne soirée à toutes et à tous. Aloha kako. Outward and inward. So it's noon where you are, and it's midnight where I am. And that makes it a world. And I've chosen poems that I believe hold both of those directions together. And I'll begin with dusk. This is the place. No chairs. A woman who is choosing has sent a petal from her bloom of conscious closing. The woman who is choosing when scratches vellum. The rook stands. The woman in the nest of the phoenix hovers nearer her edge, like that brood of birthing opal-throated pigeons in an empty flower trough, thirsty. One stare, breaking their shells one by one. She repeats my words from dusk in a jungle. Medicine leans small against thorn trees. Each poison growing in a forest lives beside its antidote, he said. I am still eager, I say, for the scent of hyacinth. The woman remembering, who's choosing when to die, will curl before leaves have blood-burned September. Surrender by starvation. She doesn't name her illness, only how many days. 3 more. The woman in worn white cotton who washed us in a tide pool, brewed petals, shouted under egrets at the edge of rain. Bon voyage to me, and love life as you live it. Her breath scribbles blue before it ends a night and a day, and the broken slant dawn. The woman who was choosing when to die, too young to be skeleton, skin taken wing, bone no longer needed, dull, fire-eyed, distant, opal. The root does not care where her water comes from. Here is another thirsty body, broken into night. Whisper. Why does my skin want me in her? Does she know she's holding a woman in? Not burning, does she ache when the wildfires shout? Does she know how many Septembers she's given? Am I nailed inside her, cell by cell, pale veil sewn, room to sty? Is she mine? Or am I her pet cobra whispering like rocks in the stream bed? For more passion, more tenderness, more friction, more killing. Do the stones and the branches want out? Does my skin want tattoos of hard young men or skulls or sentences or swallowed corpses falling? If I give her all of my wars, my only eye, will she let me sleep? Will she hold my night urges until I can remember them? When I die, skin of silk, skin of ash, skin of my century, will she forgive me again when the leaves are all dropped? Why have a woman in you skin? Why not a bone mountain? Why not a better prayer than this one? If you won't answer, skin of my skin, skin of my womanhood. There are knives that might. And finally, because these are dangerous times for us, here is my body. Invisible on our lake, our green state, the old blue heron lies. Speak of my hunger, speak of her hunger, speak of her mothering, mother me, I say. I'm her body of surrender, waiting. I'm her body of hunger, waiting. Her body of danger, waiting under the 5 million starfall night. Mother, I cry. You promise kinder dreams. You promise sleep. Be kind, you said, before you surrendered, before you climbed the starfall. This night we blast, you said. I'm the heron, I'm the lake of peace. Our vine leads to you, you said. Your body of surrender, waiting. I whisper, the blue heron will feed us. Blue dawn will delete us. Peace. Our bodies will see. Our danger will see. I will love you, you said. That was my promise before. Our lake waits. Don't cry, I said. Here is my body, I said. Sleep. The hungry beaks will feed, even sparrows, winging promise. Our old promise is kept this night. This dangerous, last, motherless night. So those are my ways of speaking of the inward and the outward.
Joe Stanton's poems have appeared previously in Poetry, New Letters, Harvard Review, Antioch Review, and many other magazines. He's published 6 books of poems: Moving Pictures, Things Seen, Imaginary Museum, A Field Guide to the Wildlife of Suburban Oahu, Cardinal Points, and What the Kite Thinks. So other books include Looking for Edward Gorey, Stan Musial, A Biography, and A Hawaii Anthology. His essays have appeared in American Art, Art Criticism, Children's Literature, and Michigan Quarterly Review. He's Professor Emeritus of American Studies and Art History at the University of Hawaii at Mānoa. He frequently presents poetry workshops, and most recently at New York City Poets House and the Honolulu Museum of Art. Welcome, Joe.
Grin in the air. Those nights on B Street, we all knew to wear our own shoes, to play our own hands. Life or death might be in the cards, and the cards might be up against some wall. Diamonds for what deludes, hearts for all we've lost, clubs for what might strike us, spades for the final cost. Sometimes we'd trust to luck, sometimes we'd tempt fate, but mostly it was just one more night, the air alive with sounds or silences. It was just a street to walk down, just a place to hang out, just a place to try to live, hoping all would be all right in the end, or in whatever might begin. The moon, a shining cat against the fates in our stars, that cat's grin disappearing behind clouds or coming out again. Bounce. He bounces the ball because it comes back. When the playground clears, he will shoot alone in the dark park, out of doors, but inside his mind, where he battles with only the distant streetlight on his side, at war with himself over what he might be or might not be, throwing again and again against an almost invisible goal in a land of shadows. The war goes on and will not be lost and will not be won. Blue Note. He plays for her over and over, never let me go. He feels the 5 notes his pale sax sings. Never let me go. A note for each sad syllable. She is, he knows the tune he plays. Blue on blue, notes that weep their song because she is oh so very gone. Only in his mind does she sit on the stoop before the closed red door. The lateness of the night, too, is a note he plays, but absence is the why his sax sings. His world still yet so full of her shadow. Never let me go, he pleads, his breath floating the tune to the sky, his sax whispering to the moon's not so neon glow. Never let me go. Silhouettes. Some figures on these streets are only silhouettes. Figments of thoughts, dreams lost, are not quite found, that might have been or once were, ghost of better or ghost of worse. Couple by the bar. A woman in a red gown and a man in a tuxedo embrace. They do not care that they are overdressed for this neighborhood and that their departure from the gala early and together would cause a fuss. No one knows them on B Street, so they think this tryst anonymous, a casual affair that will be without consequence. This they think is just for fun, but their story is the oldest one. At the corner, the huckster sets up his 3-card Monte scam. He thinks the bald man walking his dog a likely mark. A little boy is all eyes, but his mother pulls him up the steps. Leaning down from the floor above, the huckster's girl whispers, "The coast is clear, no cops in sight." The man with the dog carefully fingers the badge in his pocket. Around the corner, the drummer, the guitarist, and their sullen sister, who might be induced to sing, await what they hope this night's foot traffic might bring. At the corner, an argument finds a woman pointing left, a man pointing right. Their quarrel is a divide, a righted angle, a perpendicular. She points towards home, he towards one more bar. They've reached the end of a street, a corner for turning. The smoker. This corner beneath the L gives him pause, betwixt and between, to stop for a smoke in a zone of quiet, a moment of calm, within the riot of impossibilities that is the city. Even when the train roars overhead, this corner is a comfort. All the rest hurry towards or hurry away from the train. Only the solitary smoker lingers under the belly of the beast. On this day, he has hot-footed here, his every step a burn of desire for this private occasion, to consider an idea he is certain will change his life. Pocketed in this cool shadow, his mind is on fire with all he will do, all he will do. Outside the studio, the sculptor in splattered denim knows his art as a cutting, a hollowing, a finding of presence defined by a surround of absence. He hates that the dealer, elegant in gray silk suit, fends off his gripe. There was no contract, the dealer explains. He measures his words and clips them neatly. Woman on the roof. She is dancing alone and for herself. Her tight white dress swerves and curves and gleams under the moon. Her dancing plays a tune against her life, and she twists the arrow of her song down and around whatever might come true.
Cathy Song is the author of 5 books of poetry. Picture Bride, her first, was the winner of the Yale Series of Younger Poets Award and was nominated for a National Book Critics Circle Award. Other poetry volumes are School Figures, The Land of Bliss, and Frameless Windows, Squares of Light. Cathy is a recipient of the Hawai'i Award for Literature and the Elliott Cades Award for Literature. Bamboo Ridge, as I just mentioned, is publishing her book of short stories, All the Love in the World, which I believe is her first short story collection. Welcome, Cathy.
Thank you. Thank you, Eric. Thank you to all my panelists, and thank you for everyone who's tuned in. In response to the theme of outward and inward, I was thinking about the poet Tess Gallagher, who referred to the poem as Time Machine, which for poets is one of its most alluring features. Add wordplay, or as John Frederick Nims called playing around with words, and to quote another poet, Stephen Dobbins, the honing in on a feeling, poets can be forgiven for what others might see as indulgent daydreaming, the staring for hours at a blank wall or out a window. What we're doing is really engaging in a particular kind of travel. In the end, back to Tess Gallagher, the poem is a construct, and however much we might want to, we cannot live there. I'll read 3 poems for this panel. The first is called The Blue Painted Distance. Torn are the pages from the calendar, the days fluttering past the train's window, the speed of which has yet to be perceived. For at each seat, more immediate, are the books about to be opened, the wax-papered sandwiches eaten, the bottles of strawberry soda consumed. The journey between birth and death are the stations of joy and sorrow, or simple idleness, when what remains in relief can be as inconsequential as an unexpected delay that finds you wandering through an afternoon of an old museum. Indistinguishable are the ornaments from useful implements, the ill-lit displays of rocks and shards. You circle as if in a maze, remembering the oddity of it, startling upon a haunting diorama. Crouched around a glowing fire pit, a family of hunters and gatherers huddles beneath sheltering skin. All around are the articles of abundance, meat slabs draped like heavy blankets on a rack, geometric rows of threads dangling from a loom. The ephemeral made tangible, tongues of cellophane flames cleverly quiver to convey a sense of warmth. Pulled into the scene, you follow the trail of smoke across the blue painted distance of mesas dotted with bison. Wigs of black twigs, someone's idea of indigenous hair, hide the faces of the elders. Strapped onto its mother's back, the lone baby stares unblinkingly at the sky. No one has thought to shut its eyes against the sun, the glare, the rolling cloud waves of hoofs and dust, the flies that will surely come. The towns of the beautiful names. I hear in the crow's call the sound of her name. The two syllables dragged like bits of rubbish. They dive into the street to pick. Pleased with their prize, flap of black wings fly up to a perch of telephone wire. Quickly, expectation turns to disappointment. They spit displeasure as if tricked and spend the morning grumbling. They intrude with wise, cracking commentary as we set the dolls in the garden. Sticks and stones and a pinch of camellia petals drizzled into teacups are the magical elixir, I tell my granddaughter. For whatever the ailment, turning the lawn into an ocean we must cross, dodging the taunts that pelt down on us. Gathering our unruly flock, we seek refuge on the other shore, under the orange tree, where the stone Buddha waits out an eternity. What will the world be like for her and the brother whose first stirrings their mother, looking out the kitchen window, is beginning to feel? The world is on fire. Towns with beautiful names like paradise are gone, burned to the ground by the flames that roll in faster every year. Faster every year, the disasters seem to appear. The last poem, In the Clouds, Volcano. Earth-touching clouds hush the forest. A terrarium of stillness shrouds the bird realm. Speaking as if from another source, Apapani, the ventriloquist, knits its calls, releasing like a ball of string notes that flutter to the floor as leaves, typing trills that glitter the branches. The cloud dome diverts the wind the way a boulder divides a river, rerouting the occasional car from turning down the gravel road. There are many ways to pass through. There are many ways to exit. Solitude expands the sense of time. On this side of the hourglass, the sand in short supply. I frittered away in such a hurry, the arguments, the hostility, grabbing at what I thought would make me happy. So many missed opportunities to make, in the end, amends. I take heed from the old sages. I do not miss the fickleness of the fleeting world. With my books and papers, I scratch insects out of stone, patch and reclaim torn threads. The stitches are far from perfect. Tobacco drunk in countless teacups, I retreat, content beside the twig-fed fire. All that I need is to want nothing more. Rising into clouds, the wisps of smoke, impersonal as my signature.
I'll move to Peter Chandlen, our man of two bios. Peter Chandlen moves unpredictably between creative writing, music, photography, and the teaching of aesthetics. His primary poetic influences include Octavio Paz, Jeffrey Hill, Kenneth Rexroth, and Federico Garcia Lorca. An alumnus of the University of Oxford, he resides in Hawaii and prefers imaginary travel to that of the physical journey. I can certainly stand with him on that. And that's what his book looks like. There you go. Welcome, Peter.
And I'll read you two brief poems from Raven's Nights, which Eric just kindly mentioned. And the first one is named Baklava. Baklava. We're tired now. You made me laugh. I made you cry. We ate on the creaky wooden table that my mother saved despite the raids. The room's hot. Windows damp with steam from early brittle rains. We talked enough that silent echoes ring our ears when nothing else can now be said unless we say it all again. You show that queer embracing smile that says, I know and I love you, but this all will end. I love you anyway. Between us, there's nothing but wine drained by talk and tales, a single square of baklava oozing sugar sap from layered pores sat before us saying, here for the both of you, I am one, I am drenched in honey. My second poem is entitled Of No Time. Welcome to the life within my afterlife, where in a place of nothingness, I speak the words with no sound that you hear like sweet nougats. When you walk the white streets, I'm before you, but beyond your sight, aloof and light-footed about each corner. Welcome to the dreams of mine that are now yours, by which I sing to you. I want my songs to stop with you and only you, to resonate like gut strings swept by sticky resin, notes that flee their fibers like the dust of stars. Welcome to the time past time, of no time and every time, to the grotto you looked across to gaze upon the second nymph. About your feet, the violets sang a requiem that spun your thoughts alone through doors that led to many other doors, within rooms where light, extinguished, caused the dead to rise and tend to what we left behind. Thank you.